this chit chat. Grab your popcorn, sit tight, we're ready to roll. In the heart of Sacktown, we're feeding your soul. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star. With the NFL, Adams in the ring. Rhino's got the wisdom, hear the praises we sing. Court in session, it's a royal affair. With the fans all around, feel the passion in the air. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star.
Be unstoppable. It's over at Paycom Center. Final in Game 7, the Thunder 103, the Pacers 91. A dream realized. The storybook season is complete. The final chapter reads, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the 2025 NBA champions.
And just like that, as quickly as it came, it is gone. The NBA season capped off last night with the NBA Finals, Game 7 that didn't feel like Game 7 after the first 9 minutes. Tyrese Halliburton goes down. You knew what happened immediately. Absolute heartbreak for him, for the team. That was the best Hali looked all series. He came out, hit 3 triples. He had some bounce. He had the confidence to take the deep ball. And then that play happens. Late in the shot clock, kicked out to Hali. He takes that step, and his Achilles explodes. And we see that same moment that we've seen from Dame Lillard. Also wears number 0. Jason Tatum also wears number 0. And now Tyrese Halliburton. If you're going to come in here and be like, we won the Sabonis trade. See, they didn't win a championship. Now he's injured. Just go find another show. This isn't that show today. But congratulations, by the way, to the Thunder. Best team in the NBA, period. Best team. They won the championship. And a young team, which has spurred a big debate, which we'll get into here on the show today about, can anybody top them in the next, I don't know, 5 years? Grant said the rest of the decade. We'll see about that. We've got enough content today to last an entire week, so make sure that you stick around. Grant and I will be back on Wednesday night together for the NBA draft. If the Kings make any moves, we will come on immediately, but we're planning to come on right around the end of the first round, which why they're splitting it into 2 nights, a little bit weird, but happy to have you here. Court's in session. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. We're going to go through the finals, go through my thoughts on the game. I want to hear from all of you, what you thought about last night. Jerry had it right. Thunder in 7. That ultimately is what it became. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, your MVP of that game. Talk about a game that was just in the mud for the first half. Actually, the Pacers, believe it or not, for the first half, the Pacers beat the Thunder at their own game. There was only one Oklahoma City Thunder member that was in the positive side of the plus minus in the first half. Think about that. That's crazy. Yet OKC, that third quarter, just too much to overcome. Credit to the Pacers. They did not give up whatsoever, to the degree that like the last 4 minutes were a little painful. I'm like, just let it go. It's not going to happen. Let it go. But you know that team's not going to let it go when you've come that far. We have got a ton of audio. That is not the only thing that happened this weekend. Kevin Durant, now a member of the Houston Rockets. reportedly, cannot become official, I believe, until July 17th. What's that mean for the trade market? What's that mean for the Kings? We talked Friday. I thought that shoe needed to drop before DeMar DeRozan probably could be traded. So we'll get into that. We're going to be finals heavy. We're going to be NBA heavy. Yes. So many people, by the way, have hit me up. I started getting the messages about it would have been about 8:15, 8:30 on Friday night. Oh my gosh. Best promo ever from John Cena. He dropped a pipe bomb on the original pipe bomb. So I'm open to having that conversation in between, if you would like. Also, Mondays are for airing grievances. I've got a simple one right now.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about
You
it.
see this pen? Make sure I'm on the right side of the camera. See this pen? This pen has gotten me through this entire NBA season. If I don't have this pen, it drives me crazy. I love having this pen just right next to me. I use it for all of my notes. Like it's perfect. Like I don't even know where to go buy another one. Sharpie pen, but they change them all the time. The models are different. You know what I did last night? I left the damn cap off the pen. The pen was already running low on ink. So I have a grievance with myself. I am going to miss this pen. I don't think there's any saving this pen. If there is, if you have some tips, let me know. It is at its end of its life, though. So I guess we're moving on to this one. We'll see. But anyways, happy to have you here. We've got a ton of audio, by the way, that we'll be going through today with the finals. Let's kick off with just some random news and notes. Scott Perry, his motivational Mondays. Everybody, seems like this is going to be a thing. Trust in the dream which you have been given. Some people will try and convince you that your dreams won't ever happen. When you move forward in faith, in understanding, you can realize your dreams and goals. Work hard and believe in yourself, and good things will follow. Very different from Monty McNair. I'm not calling this bad, by the way. I actually don't mind it. I really don't. But what do y'all think? You guys digging these Monday motivationals? I mean, Scott Perry, look at the timestamp on that. 4:34 a.m. Does that mean dude's grinding? Is he grinding like Rhino and Sack 3:30 a.m.? Okay, Scott, I see you. Is that targeted? You got to get that out early and then you roll back over for a couple more hours of sleep? I don't know. But I do know this. It would make sense if he's up at 4:34 in the morning because there are some big decisions to be made here in the next week. DeRozan doesn't necessarily need to be traded, but Keon Ellis, the Kings need to make a decision on his player option by the 29th of this month. So what will the Kings do there? Keep an eye on that. They're going to pick it up. They're going to extend him. There are some not penalties, but there's a little snag if you do extend him, as opposed to picking up the option. You decline the option, he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So we can hit that as the show goes along. We talked about Kevin Durant traded to the Rockets. Do you like the trade? Do you not like the trade? What's that mean for Fred VanVleet? Interesting that VanVleet agreed to push back the date that his option was supposed to be made, knowing that the Thunder might be in the market for a guy like him, because VanVleet's on track, I believe, to make over $40 million. I don't think that option's getting picked up. I really don't. And what do you think about the haul for Kevin Durant? 5 second-round picks and a first-round pick, this year's first-round pick from Phoenix. Look, Phoenix got better. They did, significantly better. Not saying they're going to make a lot of noise, but they got better with this trade. I just don't know how well Durant works in with the Rockets. We'll talk about it. Give me your thoughts. Hey, paging Mr. Moss. If there is ever a day for Mr. Moss to come on the show, probably would be today. You are our Rockets guy. There are the odds right now, the futures for the NBA championship. Now that the season has ended, the Kings. Anybody want to put $100 down on the Kings? they win the championship, that'll get you $30,000 in return. The only teams below them, Brooklyn. How about that? Phoenix, Chicago. That's an interesting one. Portland, not so interesting to me. Washington, Charlotte, and Utah. So those are your futures as of right now. The Pacers' future is interesting to me. You're going to be without Halliburton next season, most likely. But I do have a caveat to that I will share with everybody here in a little bit. And I want to get into the bigger discussion about what this looks like for the NBA. Does the road to a Larry O now run through Oklahoma City? A lot of people are having that conversation today. And I guess the question that I ask is, did you learn something from these finals with the way that the league continues to be officiated? Did you basically learn that regardless of what you do offensively, you got to be able to play defense and be able to do it in a physical manner? Is that what you took away from this? Or is Oklahoma City just really that special? Like, really that good, really that set up? Nikola Topic, #1 pick last year for them, didn't even play this year. He'll be back next year. He's an NBA champion without stepping foot on the court. Think about that for a second. But is Oklahoma City that good and ready for the future? And this Pacers team was just, it was that Disney run that had the Rocky ending. And go ahead, crush me. I've never seen any of the Rocky movies. I just know that Rocky lost in the first one. I do know that. You know why I know that? Because I finished Cobra Kai this weekend. And that's what Daniel-san was teaching the other guy when he was his sensei, Johnny's sensei, that Rocky didn't win that first one. So anyways, were the Pacers that special? I kind of think they were. They were just kind of a one. I don't want to say a once in a lifetime team. It certainly could be argued that it's a once in a lifetime run by them from where they were at with the 4 seed, because I don't think anybody today, if Tyrese was not hurt, let's say he doesn't tear the Achilles, is anybody today, like if Indiana stayed exactly the same, really going to put a lot of weight? Would you bet their future? Do you think that they would be back challenging for a championship in that Eastern Conference that had a lot of injuries in the postseason? So we'll get into all that and where do the Kings fit into everything. And then certainly Wednesday, we've got the NBA draft. Napes and I will be together after the first round. So join us here on If You Don't Like That. But do me a favor, by the way, if you don't mind, give us a big thumbs up, give us a like, a retweet, whatever it may be. We've got people watching on X, YouTube, 121 have checked in across all the platforms so far. It goes a long way for the channel, and we really appreciate it and appreciate all you. Subscribe if you haven't already as well. Speaking of all of you, it's the first time I'm going to take a peek at your comments. I have not seen anything yet. I want to see how we set the tone today. I'm going back up. Oh, and by the way, I said this last night, and I mean this. Tyrese Halliburton was being portrayed as like the heel of basketball, right? Players don't like him. He's cocky. He has swag. He dresses weird. He taunts. His dad's picking fights with Giannis. Last night was the ultimate face turn for Tyrese Halliburton. Last night made him a huge baby face. So I think that's going to change a lot of the perception around him. All right. Oh, are we going to go to the phones in a second? We will. Tay, I'll pick you up in just 1 second. Derek, what's up, my man? Don't trade Devin Carter unless we get something really good. Holy crap, man. That is that's profound. Forget Aristotle. Forget Plato. Holy bleep, man. Don't trade Devin Carter unless we get something really good. Wow. Deep stuff there, Derek. Just kidding with you, buddy. Love you. Hali went 100%. Body could not keep up, unfortunately. I can't knock Hali for doing what he did. Now, if you listen to the podcast I released over the weekend, I had Indiana winning because I thought Hali was going to be playing through. I thought that calf was in better shape than it actually was in. In fact, Friday's show, I'm like, oh, they pulled the rug over everybody's head. It was an all-time bluff, right? No, it was not. But I'll tell you what, that first 7 minutes, that was Indiana basketball. I'm not going to sit here and have the conversation, oh, well, if Hali would have played and continued shooting like that, they would have won. But it started off well for Indiana. You can't argue with me that is the best Halliburton started during the entire series, hands down. So it just sucked. Number 0 jinx, you say. Yeah, that's three players this postseason in the East that wear number 0 that have torn their Achilles in the playoffs. Is Sol Ruka more interesting than the NBA Finals? Dude, the Game 7 had the highest ratings. And you guys all talk about the ratings not being good. What were they? Let me pull those up really quick for you. The ratings for Game 7 were excellent. Best in 6 years. 16,353,000. Pretty damn good. Got some other NBA news and notes that we'll get to. Good afternoon, Justin. How you doing? CM Punk is a little Jimmy. We're going deep now. Little Jimmy polls, huh? Scott Perry's motivational. Yes. Dennis feels bad. Or no, Dennis has options. We'll get back to his trade options. Charles, what's up, my man? Feels bad for Hali. Me too. Showed more effort and leadership on a strained calf than Fox did on a freaking finger. How about them Fox did healthy? Anybody want to argue with me? Forget the finger. Healthy. Hali showed more. Crazy. So, all right, let's bring Tay in. We'll keep mixing in your comments as well. If you want to call the show, hit this link. I'll put it right now in the chat. Love to get your reaction today. Today is definitely a phone call day. Get up in here if you would like to call. Tay kicks us off. What's going on today, buddy?
Hey, Rhino, how you doing? How did you like the finals?
I thought they were awesome, other than Hali. Other than Hali, they were everything that I could have asked for and more.
Yeah, same here. It was just gut-wrenching to see Hali go down like that. I think Game 7, if Hali was healthy, might be, one of the better what-ifs in the NBA history. Who knows if Hali will ever return to the form he was. I think he will, but other than that injury, I think it was great finals. I think, in my opinion, the West, at least in the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years, I think they still have to go through the Thunder, and that's particularly because of their personnel. If you look at SGA, he's been steadily building himself as a superstar in the last 6 years in OKC, and I don't think he ever caused any type of trouble or requested any type of trade. Just steadily building his repertoire and along with the team. I mean, Jalen Williams underrated when he was drafted, and quietly becoming into a superstar. So I think their core, along with Chet Holmgren, I think their chemistry is great. I think they're selfless. They play for each other. Obviously, they're gonna have to make a decision between J Dub and Chet when time comes. But as long as I think those cores stay healthy, and with the greatness of SGA, at least for next season, I don't see them anyone in the West challenging them. You could argue that the Lakers and Nuggets will pretty much stay as status quo as they are. Clippers are getting older with Kawhi and Harden. Houston is to be seen if Durant is going to fit with Sengun and the type of basketball that Udoka wants to play. I don't know about
Bingo.
Minnesota also, if unless they get some more pieces. So I still see Thunder still being dominant in the West next season, unless Wemby takes a huge leap along with Stefan Castle and potentially challenge the Thunder. But I still see the Thunder dominating the West at least for the next 2 seasons, relatively easily, unless again Wemby becomes that superstar that we've been waiting for him to be and stay injury free. And I don't know, but I think I hear some murmurs about people keying in on LeBron James on whether he's going to opt in into his 52 million player option. With the way that the East is looking right now, Celtics and Pacers, obviously with their superstars, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a leap and goes back to Cleveland. That would be what a drama that would be, because I think right now East is wide open, and I think you know, Kumbo made a good decision staying with the Milwaukee and Orlando. We don't know how their core is going to be with Bane. They might take a leap as well. So I think East is wide open. I think OKC still dominates the West, at least for next 2 seasons.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so a few things to respond there. OKC can't sit back though and say we're good enough. They're going to have to get better. And one of the things that I will be interested to see is the value on some of these role guys, some of these bench guys that are, considered 10th, 11th, 12th on their bench, but can come in and score 18. Teams are going to want
Yeah.
to snag those guys. And I guess the question becomes, are they a product of the environment around them, or are they that stacked? But Tay, I do think they're going to be a powerhouse. Now, as for the Spurs, I don't think if they roll into this next season, even though they've got the draft picks still, with Wemby and Castle, and assuming Fox is there, they will jump, but it's not going to be a significant jump. Their jump's going to come when they get that next piece. And I think that's why there was that much talk about Giannis. And I actually think Durant not going, San Antonio not getting him, is a good thing for San Antonio.
I agree.
Yeah, I think all good things. They're going to have in Oklahoma City, they're going to have some decisions to make. They're going to extend Alexander. They're going to extend definitely probably Holmgren. And then the guy that really could be the one that you look at, and it sounds crazy to say, but it's Jalen Williams. I feel like Jalen Williams is kind of in that Russ Westbrook / James Harden neighborhood, like with how the Thunder were built before. So kind of that third piece that could be really good somewhere else. But the NBA with this new CBA is going to be so incredibly erratic. Teams are going to take big swings year after year, because this is going to be a year after year race to win a championship. This is not like where you build teams anymore. If you're near the top of your conference, you think you have a shot. Like you mentioned, Orlando, they went all in. They said Desmond Bane is the dude that's going to take us over the top. You're going to see other teams make those moves, and if they don't work, they exchange them the next season. So good stuff, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you make a great point about Jalen Williams being in that James Harden, Westbrook comparison. Likewise, I think Holmgren is in that Serge Ibaka comparison. How they had with the Thunder big three back in the mid 2000s, and yeah, to your point, there's guys like Aaron Wiggins on their bench who could easily be a 20-point scorer on other teams. So those guys will definitely be also looking for bigger roles and better pay in their career. So yeah, we'll see. Thanks, Marina.
Yep, appreciate you, Tay. Great call. Way to kick us off. Yeah, Aaron Wiggins. He dropped 41 on the Kings, if anybody doesn't remember that. Absolutely. Charles, amen. Rick Carlisle is a championship coach who knows how to make in or mid-game adjustments. Combine that with Hali being a cold-blooded killer when the game is tight, along with a deep roster. It's not all luck. No, it's not all luck by any stretch of the imagination. These two teams were the two deepest teams in the NBA, and they both probably had they do, not probably, they do. They had the highest IQs in the NBA. In fact, I would put Indy's basketball IQ over OKC's basketball IQ. Carlisle, he holds the record in the NBA Finals for games won as an underdog. Even in game, was it 6? Game 6, the Thunder said, holy crap, for 14 minutes of that game, the first 14 minutes, it took them time to recalibrate and adjust because of an adjustment that Rick Carlisle made to start that game, which is nuts when you've been playing a team 5 games in a row already. You know each other after 4. Most times you really get to know each other after 3. So anyways, I 100% with you. And you actually bring up a point that I'm going to bring up later. So you are on the right track. Torsha, what's up? Hope you're having a good day. No, it's not all luck, but when it came down to the wire, they got okay. I don't know. I look, they didn't have that guy last night that could make that shot as they tried to keep climbing back in that last, 4 minutes of the game, which to me were unbearable. But the same physicality. Think about how they shook the Thunder. Like Chet Holmgren, 3 or 4 times, wasn't even coming up as an outlet to inbound. Caruso had to call timeouts on the inbounds. They got turnovers. They're all over the floor. That's not luck. Halliburton, his shots during the playoffs, I don't know. I can't classify it as luck. I just think that team believed. That team knew they were different. I mean, you can go back and you can improve that team. You can do what you need to do, bring in new draft picks. But there was I'm going to call it a magic. That team had an it that I bet Pacers teams in the future, maybe even one that wins a championship, might not have the same it that Pacers team had this year. They just had a belief. It was different. It's the closest thing I have felt. And I mean this. And Jerry kind of said the same thing a couple of weeks ago. It's the closest thing I have felt to the Kings in 2001, 2002. That's what it felt like. So take it for what it is. Oh, you did. Good job. Yo, Adrian. Good job. You heard me talking about you. We were talking about Rocky. What accent am I doing? I don't even know what that is. I had to go to Bennett's after Halliburton's injury to ease the pain. Good job by you. Hopefully you enjoyed your meal. Thanks for letting us know. Let's roll through. Let's roll through the game because I've got some thoughts and you guys can interject. I would love to hear from you. Tay kicked us off on the phones. Only show today on the channel. So if you want to get in, now is the time to get in. So last night, game 7 did not really live up to the hype per se. Oklahoma City ends up winning the championship. We played the call right there. The Thunder come out and they looked a little bit more tight. Their starters looked tight at the beginning of the game. Tyrese Halliburton looked loose. You saw these Indy fans in the stands. Hali hits 3 quick triples, has 9 points in the first. What was it? I wrote it down right here. I've got my notes in front of me. 3 threes in the first 6 possessions for the Pacers. And then unfortunately, this happened.
Hard, kicks it out, Toppin. Good contest from Dort. Halliburton falls down. He looks hurt. Here comes SGA the other way. Inside, and Williams throws it down. Halliburton's hurt right away when he fell. Voice that sprained calf. He's in pain, so emotional.
I think everybody was emotional. You saw the huddle around him. I'm thinking, I paused for a second because you had Indiana and Thunder players around Tyrese, and you knew immediately what had happened. Now, I will admit, I wasn't sure if the calf exploded or if it was an Achilles. Grant was critical of the broadcast team last night. He thought they should have brought up the Achilles. You can let me know which side you come out on with that, but you knew he was done. And by the way, I thought Hallie's dad wasn't supposed to be at the road games. Just saying, I'm being shallow. I'm sorry. I thought he wasn't supposed to be at the road game. Somehow he snuck his way into Oklahoma City. Here was the Pacers radio call when Hali went down.
Topping out of the near corner. Up top, Halliburton falls down, turns it over, and this will lead to Gilgeous-Alexander to the other end, where he sends it to Williams for a dunk. And Halliburton is face down in the Indiana offensive end. The trainer, Josh Corbeil, rushes out to take a look, and even a concerned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is checking on Halliburton. Indiana will take a timeout. 4:55 left first quarter.
Yeah, Torsha, I'm kind of with you. Jason Tatum's looked a little bit more obvious to me because of how his foot and ankle, you could see the angle and you could kind of see where that pop happened. And with Hali, maybe it was a little bit more difficult. I don't know. Maybe we just didn't want to think that that was the case. I mean, this is a guy that's literally laid it all out on the line for his team, and I can't blame the Pacers for letting him play. I can't blame Tyrese for wanting to play. What I said before game 6 is sit him for 6. I think you have enough to get by OKC at home and have him for 7. And then he looks great in game 6, which I'm thinking, all right, they bluffed us. They Doyle Brunsoned us. Awesome. Unfortunately, that moment happens. Now, what was interesting about this moment is the fact that the Pacers, let me pull this up for you really quick. Let's go to the second quarter. The Pacers in the second quarter, and even in the first quarter, there was a lot of missed shots. Now, Caruso gave a little bump to the Thunder. Also, Kendrick Williams had 3 steals in that second quarter. But the Pacers actually beat the Thunder at their own game. They were the ones that were quicker to the loose balls. They were the ones that were still getting open shots. When the Thunder would make a little run, the Pacers would come right back at you. They finally get it tied at 40-40 with 3:45 left in the second quarter, and then Mathurin hits a 3 with 2 minutes left, and then they even got a bad call. How about that? They got an awful call at the end of the first half, or I should say, no, it was an awful call. That's exactly what it was. They called a foul on Mathurin, and it was nothing compared to what you had seen all night long up until that point, and especially what you saw in the second half. That led to Oklahoma City points, which put them ahead, but then Nembhard hits a 3 from no man's land to put the Pacers ahead at the half. So you're thinking, can they sustain this? Can the Pacers keep this going? You know, Hali is going to give them a big speech in the locker room. You know Carlisle's going to adjust, but you know the Thunder run is coming as well. TJ McConnell was pretty effective, but he didn't adjust, which we'll get to in a second. So third quarter begins, and that's where the game begins to turn.
Question is, does Oklahoma City have one of their patented runs where it's 8-0 or 10-0 and they put some game pressure on Indiana?
They've done it time and time again here in this building. Williams lines up, can't get it to fall. Dort comes flying in for the offensive rebound. Williams now just 2 of 8. Dort, by the way, has 3 offensive boards. Gilgeous-Alexander almost turned it over. Rick Carlisle thought he did. Dort has to hoist one up, and he knocks it down. Lou Dort with a Hail Mary is a shot.
Deep 3. You guys know the one that they're calling right there by Lou Dort. He was in no man's land, and he had not been shooting the ball particularly well, but you knew that that was one of the big shots that was going to get them going. Siakam hit a 3 in response, but then they got 4 offensive rebounds, the Thunder. 4 offensive rebounds in 3 minutes. They only had 4 offensive rebounds in the entire first half. And now it's like, all right, here comes the run. Here comes the run. And it continues.
Fights for the miss, knocked off the play by Mathurin, who tips it to Nembhard. Andrew Nembhard front court to the streaking. Mathurin stripped to the ball by Dub. Dub with Shea, weaving his way down the lane. Size up the defender, lays it up. And lays it in. Oh, what a maneuver by Jalen Williams. He played the role of Houdini and now plays the crowd. Go get it, Dub.
And that was kind of that play where they came back from commercial and they're like, oh, his foot was on the ground. That should have been a travel. Those plays are so hard to call in the heat of a second, and their eyes are not looking there particularly. So anyways, a little bit of a controversial call, but this is where, to me, the wheels started coming off the wagon for Indiana. Without Halliburton, without that, bona fide guy that can hit a shot anywhere on the court, and you got to respect the fact that he might pull anywhere on the court. The Pacers had 2 turnovers in 3 possessions, which resulted in 3 triples in a row. Yeah, 3 triples in a row by OKC. And at that point, it became a little bit overwhelming for the Pacers.
So SGA
here's the other thing. TJ McConnell, who I thought, and I maintain, would have been the MVP of this series if the Pacers won, especially with Hali going out. TJ played a really good game. His turnovers, though, were high. And I feel like the one single adjustment that was not made by the Pacers and TJ was this. He was getting deep into the paint, which is what was opening up Siakam, what was opening up the role guys, what was opening up Hali. When those guys couldn't get open at times during this series. But when you don't have Hali on the court, they're playing everybody a little bit different. So he got stuck in the paint. He over-dribbled. He got down there and was swarmed. And he wasn't in a position to be able to make a play. I mean, Timothy John McConnell Jr. had a series. Probably the series of his damn life. But I thought that hurt them. Whoever he was kicking it out to, it wasn't that guy. And it really hurt them. In the end, Pacers end up losing. Like I said, the last 4 minutes were painful to me. I just could barely watch. It's not like I had, anyways, not going to go there. Thank you, by the way, Chet Holmgren. But SGA ends up leading the Thunder to an NBA championship, 103-91. As Frank Isola put it, it was an historic year for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was the MVP of the regular season and the MVP of the finals. Check this stat out.
Night in 40 minutes, 8 of 27. So he didn't have a great shooting game, but he went to the free throw line 12 times, made 11. He finishes with 29 points and 12 rebounds. And here's a stat for you, Brian. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 3,172 points this season, regular season and playoffs. That's the most by a player since Michael Jordan.
That's pretty nice class to be in. So should SGA get the next remake of Space Jam? 3,172 points. Michael Jordan, the only other player to do that. Here was SGA after the game.
Feels amazing. So much weight off my shoulders. So much stress relieved. Like, no matter what, like you go into every night wanting to win, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And tonight could have been one of those nights, but we found a way. I'm so proud of this group. I wouldn't have rather done it with any other group in the world. It feels good to be a champion.
It's not a bad point, Derek. I think the moment, and that's what a lot of the talking heads had been saying the knock was on Oklahoma City, is the moment too big for them. They're too young. They're ahead of schedule. I think you saw that a little bit. Now, we saw them turn that corner. Well, here's what's interesting. I heard in an interview before the show, Jalen Williams was on Sports Center. And here was the most interesting thing that he said. He had never drank alcohol ever in his life until last night. And so the going thing in the locker room was, if you end up or we end up winning the championship, you're going to drink. So he had his first drink or two last night. Said beer tastes awful. We all remember that moment, right? But Jalen Williams talked about that arena being the loudest, that arena and the energy that it creates and the tension that he could feel, like an exchange back and forth between the players and the fans. And I think there's something to that. It's good to be on your home court, but when you're young, that tension can also lead to a lot of pressure. And we saw Oklahoma City really actually play their two best games of the playoffs on the road. It was game 4 in Denver. Yeah, game 4 in Denver. I thought that's where they really turned a corner, where they were able to come back and get that one, which ultimately got them the series because they won in 7. And then also game 4 in this series. I thought that's where they kind of turned that corner. So I could understand why some people were saying that might be too big of a moment for this team. Now, as for Tyrese Halliburton, Brian Scalabrine talked about it earlier today on the starting 5, Sirius XM. I think it's what we all felt, whether you like Halliburton or you don't like Halliburton. And if you're in that little subsegment that actually got some enjoyment out of it, then you're a nut job. Like, you need some professional help. Here's what Brian Scalabrine had to say about that moment.
These finals.
Oh, excuse me. My bad. Wrong cut. We got ears. Everybody, listen to how excited Ears was for this series.
Showcased a new generation of stars in the NBA and 2 great cities that could not be prouder of their teams. To the Indiana Pacers, throughout these playoffs, they never, ever gave up. Congratulations on a great run. And to the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team-first mentality, homegrown all-stars, and a very special culture. Clay Bennett, Sam Presti, Coach Daignault, and this amazing team. Congratulations, you're the 2025 NBA champions.
So there you go. Adam Silver crowning the champs, the Thunder. Celebration. We still, by the way, have grievances coming up. I do have a couple of grievances that come from this game. But back to Hali. The moment this happened, I thought Brian Scalabrine summarized it perfectly. I think this is exactly how I felt, and I think this is exactly how many of you felt as well.
It was a gut punch. It was a gut punch for Indiana, obviously. It was a gut punch for basketball fans to see this amazing run. And, you know, it was a gut punch for me from this standpoint. Like when I was like, man, if you have a strained calf, you're not playing. You have a sore calf, you could play through that. And I was like, man, I can't believe that led to this again. It's another connection of, you know, a guy having, you know, like a slight injury and him muscling through it and wanting to play. And that led to, you know, Halliburton going down. And right then, it would take a miracle at that point. And Indiana could be inspired by Halliburton's injury, but it would take a miracle for them to figure out a way to beat that Thunder team on the road when they want to, you know, play the defense that they have played all season long.
Yeah, and I think, again, you know, we talk about this a lot. We talk about, you know, people love to bring up depth, and they talk about the bench, depth, the bench. All right, so Indiana, you know, had great depth during the season. You still win because of stars, folks. It's a star-driven league. You need stars in order to.
And that's why Adam Silver was so damn excited. It's sad and excited at the same time. You had a lot of young faces in this game, in this series, that could possibly lead the NBA into its next era, its next 10 years in SGA. I can't really put Holmgren in that column because I just don't necessarily see it with Chet yet. I think there's a lot of development. He's really good at getting inside, sneaking around. He's kind of slippery for somebody that big, but offensively, he really did not have a very good series. So the ability to play Chet Holmgren with another center, that's invaluable. But as this goes along, I wonder how important his development's going to be, because every team out there in the West that thinks that they can give Indiana a run, or excuse me, Oklahoma City a run for their money, the first thing they're looking at is how can we match up? And you've got a problem there with Hartenstein and Chet. Now, there's one team definitely doesn't have a problem there. That team is San Antonio. The problem is SGA and everybody else. That's why that Wemby Holmgren debate is always going on, was going on. But outside of that, it is a tough matchup. But nonetheless, Brian and Frank kind of talking about how special this run is. And I just want to take a moment. I already said it before to the Pacers. What an incredible run. One of the most memorable playoff run that I can remember in my lifetime. Unexpected. The Kings in 2001, 2002, we were expecting it. We thought we should beat the Lakers. Nobody had the Pacers making this run, going through Cleveland, going through Boston. Boston fan, what's up, Gail? How you doing today? Love me some Gail in Valencia. But Gail, I know you're not arguing this, but some of your fellow Childs are. That if Tatum wouldn't have gotten hurt, you would have won that series. No, you wouldn't have. And then through 7 games in the NBA Finals, it was a special run. TJ McConnell after the game talking about how important Halliburton is to the team. And just, it really kind of shows too, that line that Grant talks about all the time with Halliburton. I think he's the person that's put it the best. It's not that he's a special talent. He's a special player. Here was TJ after the game.
What happened with Tyrese is
Rick Carlisle.
just all of our hearts dropped, but he will be back. I don't have any medical information about what may or may not have happened, but he'll be back in time, and I believe he'll make a full recovery. So he authored one of the great individual playoff runs in the history of the NBA.
That's Rick Carlisle in the history of the NBA. Rick freaking Carlisle. Here was TJ McConnell.
Like that, and be selfless, and just continuing to cheer for us. And even though he can't play, I think that just speaks volumes to who Tyrese Halliburton is. One of the greatest human beings I've come in contact with, great teammate. Obviously hurting for him, but that's just who he is.
And even SGA, who was guarding him when he got hurt and was part of that huddle, chimed in as well.
I just asked him if he was all right. It seemed like he was in pain. You just hate to see it in sports in general, but in this moment, like, my heart dropped for him. Like, I couldn't imagine playing the biggest game of my life and something like that happening. It's so unfortunate. It's not fair. But competition isn't fair sometimes. But yeah, I just felt so bad for him. And just asked if he was okay. Obviously he wasn't, but prayers go out to him for sure. Hell of a player. Future's bright. That team's going to be really good for a long time. Yeah, impressive team, impressive player. I wish them the best of luck.
Good question, Flores. I think it's a shock to the system. Like, okay, everybody watches some trash TV, right? I used to. I haven't watched it in a long time. But I think it was called like My 600-Pound Life, right? And hopefully those people are all better and in better health now. But when they would get admitted to the hospital and they'd get changed over to a 2,000 calorie diet, it was a shock to their system, to the point they're trying to sneak in food, they're having food delivered, people are smuggling it in their purses, et cetera, et cetera. You're getting such a heavy dose of the fundamentals. You're getting a heavy dose of playing the game in a fundamental manner that is right there on the line with the rule book. Like the gather step last night. That's something that I know probably is going to continue to be debated in the coming years. And it's not so much above the rim. It's not so much flashy. It's not a ton of three-point shooting. And here's the key. It's not a ton of three-point shooting by the stars. Isn't it the stars that are making the threes? That sexy Steph Curry from anywhere on the court? Those are the people you think of. And so, yeah, I think that it's just different. Now, the NBA has to figure out what they're going to do with replay. That to me is the $1 million question. Because Adam Silver is going to hang his refs out to dry if you're going to continue to give coaches challenges and also give your referees the edict to let these games be physical. These playoffs, that game last night was so far beyond physical. Go back, if you have the time and you want to, go back and just watch down low when people are shooting. It's not even a little shiver. It is two-handed shoves in the back to get position. So replay and the style that Adam's pushing more towards, they're going to have to make that kind of get figured out. But it also kind of goes to my bigger question at the start of the show, Flores, is do you have to now? If you think things are going to run through OKC, you know the brand of basketball. Like, I don't know that you could build a team around offense and have them go in there and beat OKC in a 7-game series because of the physicality. You're going to have to be a team that can play defense in each conference to play them. And that's assuming we're putting Oklahoma City on that pedestal that everything does run through Oklahoma City going forward. So good question. We'll keep talking about it. Here's the wild card for me, y'all. Tyrese is probably going to be out the entire season. Next season. Stinks. They knew it was a risk. It was on the table. It had happened to two people in the conference before in the playoffs that both wear number 0 as well. They knew the risks. They knew that it could cost them a season. And that's likely what it's going to do. There's no replacing Tyrese Halliburton. I do think, even though you have Nesmith and Nembhard, especially Nembhard, you still need to go out and get another point guard if you're Indiana. In fact, if I'm Rick Carlisle, I am calling up Chris Paul. Hey, come be our starter for a year. You play 21 minutes a night. Want you to be around this team. Want you to be around TJ. Want you to be around Hali. That's the call that I'm making. But the wild card to me, and depending on whether or not, because TJ McConnell, to me, his style is so much more effective off the bench. It just is. When guys are starting to get their second win, when guys are still trying to work towards getting their second win, and TJ McConnell, who is a freaking Energizer bunny, comes off the bench and he's running circles around everybody, that is so hard to combat. And name me another 6'1" guy in the league that's shooting between 40 and 50% from the field around the hoop. He is able to elevate and get his shot off. Not talking about drives to the rim. He is pulling up from 7 feet, 9 feet, and able to get that off. So I just think he's your spark plug. He's your Alvarado. He's your Monk. So you bring in a starter, but the wild card, depending on where Hali is going to do his rehab, depending on what his timeline looks like, don't think for a second that Tyrese Halliburton still won't have his hands all over that Indiana team next year. Basketball IQ. The kid's got more of it than 98% of the other NBAers that I've seen play in my lifetime. He could be, if he's doing his rehab and he's traveling with the team, count him basically as a coach for the Pacers next year. He will help that team out when it comes to strategy. He will help that team out when it comes to adjustments. So you will get Tyrese Halliburton off the floor. You just won't get him on the floor. And I think that will affect the team positively if he ends up being able to do his rehab and travel with the team. So it doesn't elevate them to the same level. It doesn't make them contenders, but I do think it does make a difference in the end for the Pacers. So that was the rundown of the NBA Finals. We can still talk about them. We've got the draft coming up on Wednesday. I saw somebody put in that the Kings are shooting to get into the first round. We'll see. I mean, if they get into the first round, I don't. Okay, we talked this through with Grant and Jerry. The Kings to execute this properly, because the only reason you're getting into the first round is because there's a player you like. So if the Kings were to announce a trade before the draft to acquire a first round pick that didn't include DeMar DeRozan, I would be really skeptical. If the Kings are going to get into the first round, it's going to be while another team's on the clock, and that team is going to draft the player that the Kings want, assuming that player's on the board. And really, I don't know what you want to or what you can give up in compensation before having that DeMar DeRozan shoe drop, in my opinion. I don't think you can trade Malik Monk before DeMar DeRozan, because now you're left with exactly one playmaker on the roster. So it'll be interesting to see if they move up, and we'll be here for it. So on Wednesday, we will be here to break down the first round of the draft. Silly that they're breaking it up into 2 rounds. Not really quite sure what that's all about. You don't draft for 7 rounds. I understand you want the NBA to be a year-round league, much like the NFL has done, but I don't see it. And then also we talked about the Keon Ellis decision that is going to be coming up all season for Halliburton, or March 2026 all season. I don't think, well, I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor, number one. I have not seen anything that has indicated that he has already had the surgery. Let me go. Yeah, I mean, nationally speaking, I'm not seeing any reports, at least through ESPN, that he's had the surgery. And remember, Jason Tatum had the surgery it was within 18 hours of the injury. And I think it was closer to 12 to 14 hours. And that was the first time any NBA athlete or any athlete in general had the surgery, the traditional Achilles surgery, that quickly after the injury. So I know there's a lot of eyes on how Tatum's going to recover. Maybe those calls have already been made. Hell, maybe Tyrese is under right now getting operated on. But unless it's a situation like that, to blow your Achilles on June 22nd, I don't know. I think it's a reach, Flores. I think it's all season. I do. I think you'll see. Well, Tatum is projected to be all season. Maybe you see Dame because that was in the first round. If I had to put my money somewhere, I would say it's an all season thing. Because what's the rush, Flores, to get him back? Like if they are around, if they're fighting for the 6th seed, but then end up in the play-in, I don't know that there's a major rush to get Tyrese back. Because what would be worse, risking another season without him, or you think you can make that run? I guess we'll see as it gets closer. After finding out that Jake LaRavia was hanging out with Austin Reeves, I make nothing out of that. I really do. I think everything that I've heard, and Jake LaRavia spoke about wanting to play some more for Doug Christie. The best decision, in my opinion, for Jake LaRavia's career is a short-term deal. Unless somebody comes out and offers him crazy money, which I don't think is going to happen. To take a short-term deal with the Kings, you put an option on the 2nd year. He is going to get ample playing time here in Sacramento. And not only that, he is the exact mold of what Doug Christie wants in a player and a defender. He's a guy that can switch multiple positions. I think if Jake LaRavia wants that bigger contract, his best place to audition for it is here in Sacktown because of the head coach that you got in that seat. But who knows? LA might be attractive. They need a big man. I don't know. I don't look too much into the agents and down in LA. These guys are hanging. The NBA is a big fraternity. Like, these guys are doing so much off the court and behind the scenes together. Malik, who was it? It was Malik. It was Mace and DeMar. They were just down at USC working out with Coach Muss from Arkansas. So these guys are always constantly doing stuff. Rico Hines, who is now an assistant coach in the NBA, he usually does a summer workout program for guys. There's a few. Obviously, the Drew League, you know that. But there's a lot of backdoor pickup stuff. And LA, by the way, hotspot, complete hotspot during the summer. There's a documentary on Kevin Durant going to LA for a summer that you can find, I believe, on Showtime. They showcase his summer and what he does. So are we redrafting the 2022 draft with Mr. Reynolds? Look at how kind you are. Mr. Reynolds, how about that?
Whew. That's a great question.
Yes, we are going to redraft. As long as I'm going to reach out to Jerry tonight, because I don't want to make him... I never make him do anything, first and foremost. He loves coming on. He came on from Tahoe last week, and I want to give him the option to have the day off. But we will most likely have Jerry tomorrow. And yes, we will be redrafting the 2022 draft. SGA has no charisma. Okay, I can see that. He's young, though. I mean, yeah, I got you. Is it that he has no charisma, or is it his charisma doesn't compare to some of the other people that are kind of in that realm with him? Like Anthony Edwards, charisma for days. Luka, charisma and complaining for days, but Luka likes to have fun with the crowd. Tyrese over the top personality. So I don't know if it's just that he has very little compared to what the rest of the guys have. Patrick, my man's off the clock. Love to see that. By the way, if you have a grievance, you can air them here today. That's what we do on Mondays. So if something's bugging you from over the weekend, something's been like, oh, I can't get that off my chest, put it in the chat. You
The
can
airing
air
of
your
grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now
and
you're going to
we will
hear about
put
it.
those up. Also, if you want to call like Tay did, you can hit the link that I'm going to put back in the chat. You can scan the QR code as well. You know what? Why don't we get to one of my grievances? Here's a grievance that I have. So Mondays, grievances.
The airing of
my
grievances.
first one.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
So before the game last night, these images leaked of Oklahoma City already having their championship buses ready and wrapped and open on the top for the parade. Rick Carlisle brought it up. Like, you need to give him and his teams any extra motivation. He brought it up in the pre-show or in the pre-game interview. This show is bugging me. You know, Horse, why don't you try to still figure out
I
where
didn't know
the
there were
holes
two holes.
are
I thought it was just the one.
on the handcuffs, my friend?
I didn't know there were two holes. I thought it was just the
Glad
one.
it's bugging you. Hope it's biting you too. Haunted Horseman, the basketball prophet. You know what? He is pretty good when it comes to baseball. I got to give him that. He knows his baseball stuff. In fact, there might be a future baseball segment coming during the summer that is around the Giants. It's going to be some baseball and some humor. So we might have that coming up. I'm still working on that. I'm loving not here. Yeah, you're off work all week. Good job. All right, so back to my grievance. Look, I don't have a problem with Oklahoma City doing that. I don't. It's a good investment. They're going to use them at least once in the next 3 years. My problem is with the kook, the dimwit, the selfish social media dude that found his way to these buses and waited until the exact moment to get his extra 2,000 followers, bro. Master plan. I've seen those buses here since game 1. I'm going to wait until game 7. This is going to save me $20,000 because it's like $100. It's $1,000 for 100 followers. Wait till I post these things. The internet is going to explode. What an idiot. Who does that? And if you're going to do it, at least get good video of the damn buses. They're completely out of focus. You can't see anything. It's a little blurry. And now you start to wonder, is it AI? Is it not? So whoever did that, stop. Good for you. It's like the dude that leaked the Fox trade, except he was completely wrong. Stuff people do, man. That takes a set, though. Think about that. Like, do you think it's a Thunder employee? Or do you think it's somebody from the Pacers side? Maybe I'm a little more sympathetic if it's somebody from the Pacers side. But if it's a Thunder employee, come on. What are we doing? I like the little social media wars that teams do, especially during the NFL. But why do you just pay the money to boost like one of your posts? I know that's a premium option on X now. That kind of bugged me. It wasn't the Thunder did it. It's just the person who did it. Stupid. Really stupid. Looking for an attention. Because there's going to be a lot of eyes on that game. Randy. Hey, RKO, what'd you think about that?
Kingston jaw and face.
Yeah, it was stupid. I'm with you, buddy. So, anyways, we've still got a decent amount of show left. Fortunate can sleep till 4:30. Interesting. Derek, yeah, Hunt and Horse had to explain that. He came on to explain what exactly happened because he was in handcuffs for Father's Day. Interesting enough. So, anyways, what's up with this whole talk about this pipe bomb? Some of you, many of you, hit up my DMs on Friday about John Cena. Like, oh my gosh, he just dropped the craziest promo. Cena's turn is here. Here's a clip.
I hate this idea of you. This idea that you're the best in the world. You're not. I'm the greatest of all time. You're better than me at one thing. You're the best bullshitter in the world. Oh no, kiddos. John Cena just dropped a curse word. That means the show is completely off the rails. Hey, Stu, shoot this. Hey, I'm breaking the fourth wall. Ha ha! The truth is, punk, I'm jealous of you.
So, I'm not going to play the whole thing. I just got to say this really quick. John Cena is just, he's so, he can pretty much do anything with the mic. He is so good on the mic. Whether you like him or you don't like him, he's pretty darn good. Now, does it live up to the original?
Man, like John Laurinaitis, who's going to tell him everything that he wants to hear. And I'd like to think that maybe this company will be better after Vince McMahon's dead. But the fact is, it's going to get taken over by his idiotic daughter and his doofus son-in-law and the rest of his stupid family. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon, all right? Here we do this whole bully camp.
Oh! Got his mic cut. Kind of like when Haunted Horse comes on and his mic doesn't work. I think you still got to go with the original. Because without the original, you don't get Cena's. And the original was way more edgy. Way more edgy. Then, yeah, I'm with you. But I'm not going to lie. And Mac, if you're out there listening, this has nothing to do with you, Mac. You're good. I got like 12 others before you, and I had seen it by then. Or I was watching it by then. But we've got a bad streak that goes on this channel. If there is a WWE event going while the Kings are playing, there will always be one knucklehead that comes in and puts the spoilers in the chat. They did it in May, or they did it for the Royal Rumble. We're doing a post-game show, and you do it for the Royal Rumble. Come on. Can't do that. I don't know. Yeah, Cena's still pretty good. I agree. I mean, his prime time, and we'll move off wrestling right now. His prime time, when he was in his prime, it was really corny. It was. Like, probably the coolest Cena match that I remember was the TLC match with Edge in Toronto. Like, but after that, the Super Cena stuff, it was silly. So, anyways, back to the NBA. We can talk anything that you want to talk to. Is it Friday already? No, it is not. We've got the odds that are out for the NBA championship. Kings plus 3,000 or 30,000, excuse me. Anybody want to take that? Plus 30,000 for the Kings. All you got to do is lay down 100. Think they can make that run? We've got the Kevin Durant trade. If you want to talk about that, did the Rockets get better? Does he fit there? think it's an interesting question. We can go over that as well. And then also, who's going to be contending in the NBA? I think it's going to be year to year. I think the trades like the cat for Julius Randle. I think Luka will always be the Luka trade. There will be trades now compared to that trade, but I think you'll see more trades, if this makes sense, that are compared to the Luka trade during this CBA. But does the NBA Finals, does a championship run through Oklahoma City the next 5 years? Yes or no? Do you have to build a team to combat them? I mean, certainly you got to worry about yourself. You have to worry about the team in front of you. You got to get to the playoffs first. But I guess the question that I'm asking is, could an offensive team, if the NBA Finals are going to be played the way that they were played this year, heck, if the playoffs are going to be officiated the way that they were officiated this year. And remember, this was not like one of those things where Adam Silver turned the dial from 0 to 100. This started almost a year and a half ago. Adam Silver, in fact, I'll take you back to the exact moment this started. It was at the All-Star game. It was when Adam Silver went all in on the Indy All-Star game, where they used a football stadium to hold the festivities. They had an LED court. They had a Steph and Sabrina thing on Saturday night. And he pitched the players hard. Like, if for nothing else, I need you guys to come out and take this seriously. He went all in. And what did the players do? They absolutely just basically
You just made the list!
Made the naughty list with Adam Silver.
And to the Eastern Conference All-Stars, you scored the most points. Well, congratulations.
You scored the most points. Well, congratulations. Is there a more awkward trophy presentation than that? Is that a good question, Jerry?
Whew,
Yeah, I think it is.
that's a great question.
I don't know. Anyways, that's when the dial got turned up. Adam Silver took the dial from 0 and he put it at 15. He told the refs, and he's on the record saying it, call the games looser. That was when the Kings, by the way, that's when the Kings experienced a rash of injuries. They end up limping into the play-in, played one of their better games of the last 3 years, beat Golden State, and then lost to the Pelicans. But the Kings, that second half of the season, their identity was like this toughness, they embraced it more or less because they kind of had to with the guys they had to play because that was their style. And so the defense kind of turned into offense and games were a race to 100 points. So then Adam Silver's like, all right, let's turn it up a little bit more for the playoffs. In this regular season, turned it up a little bit more. And then what you saw this postseason, it's like at 100. Again, go back. If you just watch the fourth quarter, watch halfway through the third quarter into the end of the fourth quarter. If you're a basketball junkie like me, go watch and don't look at the people shooting. Look at the people under the hoop. It looks like a mosh pit at a Nirvana concert. Would there be a mosh pit at a Nirvana concert? I know Kurt Cobain's no longer here, but was that like a mosh band? By the way, why mosh pits? I'm sorry. I've got to kind of go off topic for a second. Since it is Monday, I might as well throw this in. Then we'll keep talking about the
The
NBA.
airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
I don't understand mosh pits. What's the point of them? Like, don't you want to go to a concert and enjoy the music instead of getting punched in the face, getting elbowed, getting kneed, jumping off things, headbanging? I don't know. It's never made sense. Is it the music that makes you do that? Or is it's only acceptable to do that because of the music? And that's why you're there. Which one is it? It can't be both. I just, has anybody in here been in a mosh pit? Can you help me make sense of that? You know, a country concert, some line dancing. I get that. I was at Golden One Center when Ed Sheeran came here. Was it probably like 5 years ago? And he's singing Thinking Out Loud. Drugs. That's what it is. It's drugs. Just drugs. It's what causes it. Drugs. Okay. Is that a true answer? I gotta believe there's sober people in mosh pits. I want to hear from you if you have been in a mosh pit. Ash Hayes, where are you at? Tell me what the deal is with mosh pits. So anyways, I defer. I go back to what we're talking about with the NBA. I guess the question's this. Knowing where the NBA is headed and what Adam Silver wants, and you've seen the dial continue to get turned up with the physicality and the way that OKC defends at an all-time level. If they're going to be in the mix for a championship, you know, I'll leave the East out of this. I'll just strictly keep it with the West. If you want to bring the East into it, we can do that as well. But in the West, can you do anything but build a team that can play that style? I don't think you can take an offensive team into Oklahoma City and outshoot them. They just grind you down and slow you down. The Pacers, who were excellent at getting out in transition, that only happened one game this series. One game out of 7. That was game 6. I wonder if it's going to affect how teams build. I'll tell you this. Giannis, if he ends up staying in the East and stays with Milwaukee, if he ever goes to San Antonio, that is going to be a monster. That's going to be something to deal with. Wemby and Giannis. You see how it's a contrasting style? If you would have brought Durant to San Antonio, I don't think it works. So I'm glad they didn't. Well, I guess as a Kings guy, I wish they would have. Because you've got you got Wemby and you've got Durant hanging on the perimeter. Whereas Giannis can be on the perimeter, but who's going to stop that dude going to the hoop? Nobody. Nobody to date. Haunted Horse chimes in. Alcohol also responsible for mosh pits. Alcohol? What do you think?
Acknowledge me.
All right, we'll acknowledge alcohol. Let's see. Whenever you see a video the mosh pit, they all look stone. How do you know if somebody looks okay? Horse. Okay, you did the or. I thought you did the and. I thought it was an and. Look at this. I ask and I receive. I am so freaking happy this guy showed up. Maybe he can give us some insight into why mosh pits happen. Ash, what's up? Oh, it's John. What's up, Ash?
No, it's me. I don't want to correct the host. I know the rules on the show usually not correct the host. It's pronounced Hades,
Oh,
like the
Haiti.
Greek, Lord of the Underworld. Anyways, I heard on my foreman's phone over here at work that I was being asked some questions about some mosh pits.
Yes.
So
why?
I used to actually. So it's an excuse. The music is an excuse to do it. Young people do it to get out their, rage, whatever. You're allowed to do it. So not only, have I been on stage for, concerts like that with mosh pits, but also I was a security guard. I was a mosh pit, actual security guard for the entire length of a music venue called Holy Diver that was downtown. It's since shut since COVID and stuff like that. But there are certain touring bands that come through that demand that the staff let certain people do certain things that other shows don't. So there'll be a certain type of band where they want you to actually climb up on top of their equipment, which usually is, frowned upon, like their amps, and they want them to jump off the stage, mosh pits like that. And if the security is mean to their people, and we also are grumpy people most of the time, and then we don't want to deal with a lot of problems, people getting hurt. I checked on a kid one time, was in the bathroom. I saw him get punched in the nose. It's my job. I got to keep people safe, pick people up off the ground. I go to check on the kid, and he's like getting mad at me for checking on him. That is the reason that he was there. He was happy to have a bloody nose. He didn't want to be checked on. So I don't know, how deep, of an explanation I can give, but
That's
it's a
incredible.
culture. I guess I could call it a culture thing. I guess I don't know.
What's the etiquette between what's allowable and what's not? Like what would be over the line?
Okay, so there's three different kinds of mosh pits. So you have the karate type mosh pits, and then you have a push mosh pit. So a push mosh pit is more of like a little bit more old school rock bands back in the day, festivals where you kind of just shove it and you kind of go around in a circle. I guess that's the third kind too, a circle pit, where everybody's kind of going in the same direction. If you're on the side, you can kind of push at people that are in there, and that's okay. If you're going backwards against the circle, if you're hitting people, if you're much bigger than them, it's kind of like the NBA. It's uncalled for to knock down someone that's much smaller than you. And there's a lot of heroes out there that will, knock your block off in retaliation, which is seen as actually okay. I've seen it happen. And when it comes to the karate style, you're swinging your arms, you're swinging your feet. If you hit somebody, it's kind of understood that it's on accident and they're just swinging. But sometimes people can look to the side and kind of swing towards somebody. And then there's something also called, so it's supposed to be an accident, and that's okay. But there's another term called crowd killing, which is acceptable at some shows and unacceptable. It's mostly unacceptable. I hate it because I used to work on the edge of the mosh pit. And so crowd killing is when you're in the mosh pit and you just go attack the side, because people are like the walls, they're on the sides. You just go and start hitting people that are on the sides. You hit people that are facing the show that are in front of you, trying to enjoy the show, like you said, and you're just getting after it. And if you do it too hard, you could get in trouble. But there's different varieties, there's different styles. Now, push moshers hate the karate moshers, and the karate moshers hate the push moshers, because the push moshers will try to come through. Karate moshers, it's understood that you have a certain amount of space to work with. And if somebody just comes and pushes through that while you're swinging and doing your karate area, that's uncalled for. So there's lots of intricacies and rules and stuff like that. And I could give you a more in-depth tutorial in person one day if you want to. But
our Greek god of mosh pitting, 80s, breaking it down. Okay, so if you had to, one more question, if you had to put a percentage of the moshers that are sober and the moshers that are not, what are we at?
So that's a really good question, like Jerry says, because there's actually
That's a great question.
there's actually a group of concert goers that are called straight edge. Okay.
Yes.
And that's represented by the three X's. Those people don't drink, they don't do drugs, and abstain from other certain things. So so it's there, that doesn't really have anything to do with it at certain concerts, but I would say if I was gonna, it's a good 75 or 80% alcohol involved. It's kind of part of the pastime for most of the people, but it depends on the show.
So like,
There's straight edge kids there, the percentage will be way lower. They're just into hitting and getting hit.
so if somebody is a straight, like CM Punk, straight edge guy, we were just talking about him a few minutes ago.
Okay.
If you're straight edge and you've got somebody that's doing the karate style, but it's a shove style, but they're doing karate and they're inebriated. Is that like a reason to go, a reason to give somebody a receipt if you're a straight edger?
Yeah, there are definitely sides to it. They're so straight edge people, they're doing all this to be better people, so they're not gonna try to be a bad person, because the whole idea is that you're trying to be better than everybody else. But they definitely don't like the people that are drunk. They definitely look down upon them.
Yep.
But and they're all in groups and stuff too. And a little side note, there's actually groups that come from Reno that are called Hockey Mask Kids. Now this was my worst nightmare. Okay, these kids come in with these decorated hockey masks on, so I can't recognize anybody or who's doing what. And my higher ups told me that okay, we're going to have people coming in from so and so. They're not allowed to wear their hockey masks in here. It's going to get too wild, and we can't see who everybody is.
Your supervisors should go tell them themselves. Why are they going to make you do that?
I had to enforce it. I was the event staff, and I specifically was in charge of mosh pits, stage, and stage diving and stuff like that, because I know the etiquette of being an artist as well. I also played shows at the same place where I worked, so I kind of had the in there.
Yep.
And so they knew, being an artist and being a security guard, both, I would know the intricacies of what's allowed and what's not, because that's a hard job to step into. Like just like you're asking me, people don't know. Like, hey, is this okay? This guy's punching at somebody. I'm like, no, this is a hardcore show, so this is karate style. So I would have to, if push moshers would randomly come out small percentage at a karate style show, I would have to kind of tell them to calm down and be like, hey, it's not that kind of thing. You're going to get beat up basically, and I'm going to have to deal with it. So,
well, does security, like at that point, so you got loud music going on, it's probably hard to communicate. Is it just like a punch to the face or like a shove by security to like reset them and recheck them?
So what I would do a lot is I would just take people outside, talk to them, be friendly with them, let them back in. I mean, they paid for a ticket. I was explained very early on that you don't take away somebody's good time that they paid to have. So it's my job to just, conflict management and take them outside, talk to them. But I tried to grab this one guy one time who was getting a little bit, and like you said, it's loud. I have a radio like in my ear so I can hear what my boss is saying and what my coworkers are saying. If we need help, we need backup, I mean, it could get dangerous. And I grab onto this guy, kind of from behind, kind of aggressively. I had it. I was watching him. I saw what he did. He did something. I don't remember exactly, but I grabbed onto him. And as soon as I grabbed onto him, they're all in groups. I get hit. Boom, my ear starts ringing. I get popped in the back. And I turn around, and I don't know who did it. There are a bunch of people right there. And I scream over the top of the music and tell them, I'm just going to talk to him. I'm just going to talk to him. So I take the guy outside. Oh, man. So
holy bleep.
It's a good time for some people, but for others, it's not. I told my mom specifically when she comes to my shows, certain shows, I say, hey, don't be in the middle. Don't be in the front, be on the side or be in the back. I give her specific instructions to to keep certain of my guests at these shows
Do you
safe.
last question? You're basically a guest now on the King's Court. I'm gonna title the show with you in it, probably. Last question: like, do you know your moshers, like at your
So,
shows?
yes. Well, I know my guests. I mean, it's all about ticket sales and as an artist, but also as a security guard, I did know all the different groups. I knew all the reggae people. I would go outside and hang out with the reggae people and their popular pastime, and also, all the moshers, the different kind of moshers. Some of them I knew from back in the day when I was younger, and I would do it. But you just get to know them. Some of them are even artists themselves. This guy Matt, yeah, you know who to expect on certain nights. Like this is the homie night where it's a hardcore show. I know the whole groups of the people that are going to be there and start recognizing them.
Freaking incredible! As Haunted Horse says, this is awesome content. I had no idea there was so much. There was a culture. Like
Yeah.
there's so
Well,
much.
I started at Goldfield Midtown, and I did the nightclub and I did the line dancing. I knew all the line dances because I was just working there and watching people dancing and stuff. So I worked my way up from the country bar line dancing over to Holy Diver and to the mosh pit security guard.
Love it, dude. Ash, thank you. You made the show a million times better, and you have expanded all of our minds.
Let me know if there's anything else you guys want to know, or if anybody wants to go check it out. I got something coming up in the summertime. You guys can come out.
Yeah, can you get some VIP passes for Haunted Horse? I want him.
Yeah,
right
1 day or 2 day passes. I can get both of you guys in.
No, I'm not coming. Just Haunted Horse.
Okay,
I
Horse.
want him to mosh.
Okay, we'll report back
All right,
with our findings.
Actually, you know what? Throw Adam in there too.
Okay, just make a list and send me your guest list over who wants to go. And I got
Ash, you are the best. Thanks for calling in.
No problem.
Holy bleep. Ash Hades burned it to the ground. Can I even talk about basketball anymore? Holy moly. Like, I'm sorry. Where are you going to find that kind of spontaneous content and insight this time of year? Okay, so Adam says he will go with Horse. Can the King's Court, how about this? What if we put together, so we're already working on Celebrity Row for Vivek. That's under construction. But could we put a GoFundMe together? Ash, no, the pleasure is all mine and ours. That was incredible. Holy bleep. Could we put a GoFundMe together to send Horse and Adam to a mosh and report back? Could we do that? I mean, Grant and I, we've shaved our heads before for charity. I mean, I would shave my head again. But it's not charity, though. That's the thing. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Like, I just... Thinking about like moshers, first off, never really been to a true rock concert. But thinking about moshers, like to me, it seemed like just like a group that individuals bought tickets to the shows and they just knew that in this spot, like that's what you do. I didn't realize it was so intricate. The do's, the don'ts, the etiquette. That's some mind-blowing stuff. John Finch has tickets. Ash, we will be in touch offline for sure. We will be in touch. What an incredible segment. Spontaneous segment. I mean, my only other grievance, and that was a spontaneous grievance too. I take back my grievance. After what Ash said, I 100% take back my grievance against moshing. It's nothing like I was imagining it. It's structured. The bands, certain av requests, there's styles, karate, shoving. You got the Nevada group with the hockey masks. You got the straight edgers that are like, we're better than you. And we know it. We're at Globo
Because
Gym.
here at Globo Gym, we're better than you. And we know it.
That doesn't surprise me about the straight edgers. I've heard that before. I've heard that the straight edgers have their nose up a little bit. Okay, really quick. Since I had to withdraw my grievance about moshing, and Ash Hades set us straight on that. Wow. That was an all-time segment here because it was so different. So if this is your first time watching the King's Court, you got a heavy dose of basketball. What's up, Daniel? Sorry you're late. We've had a ton of basketball talk up until the last 25 minutes. That's what you can expect around here. We have a lot of fun, and it is year round. We'll always be there with the Kings. Like this question, what about, how do I feel about Malik Monk getting traded? You can't do it unless you, first, I think you have to trade DeRozan before Monk. I'm not against Monk being traded, but you have to be getting at least 2 creators back from that. So would I be surprised if he was traded? No, actually, I wouldn't. I would not. Teams are going to have to take swings, but he's not one of those guys you trade first, in my opinion. Now, if it's the right trade and somebody's going to fall into your lap, like Kobe White, all right. Ja Morant, okay. And I don't get me wrong, I'm not Ja Morant guy, but I'm about at the point with Ja Morant where I'm tolerant to the risk, especially if it gets Zach LaVine off the books. I'm tolerant to that risk because there's risk on the books already with Zach LaVine. Bring back hand checking. Yes, hand checking was incredible back in the day. That was crazy. Okay, so grievance, last one of the day.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
Okay, so here's my grievance. I understand you can't have a big voter pool when it comes to finals MVP because of logistics. But I've got a big problem with some of the people on this panel that voted the MVP. Now, nobody would have chosen anybody else but SGA. There's no way you couldn't have chosen SGA. But there's some names that just stand out a little bit more than others, specifically not qualified like the others. I'll start with Richard Jefferson. Nightmare on commentary. Nightmare on commentary. Brash. Opinionated. He should not have a vote. He's calling the damn game. What happens on College Game Day? Same company, by the way, Disney, ESPN, when they go around the table on College Game Day and they're doing their picks and it comes to Kirk Herbstreit, guess what? If Kirk's picking the game, he doesn't have a pick. That just, to me, bad form. Richard Jefferson, what have you done to cover the NBA? Excuse me. Besides be a cup of coffee analyst. Seriously, a cup of coffee analyst and in business for yourself, walking all over Mike Breen. You are a player. You see the game as a player. You're not doing the other side of it. Like Tim Reynolds. Tim Reynolds is a name when you have a pool reporter. He's one of those guys that you think of that will get to go in and be the pool reporter to talk to a referee after a bad call. PJ Carlissimo. Now, this is tricky for me because PJ's calling the game on radio, but PJ is more than qualified to have a vote. But because I'm holding Richard Jefferson to that standard, I have to take PJ off the list. But I have no problems with his qualifications. The radio broadcast, by the way, is so much better than the television broadcast. And I would almost bet you, I'll get to that in a second, Jeff. I would almost bet you will not see Mike Breen back with that crew ever again for another finals. Your Mike Breen is going to put his foot down behind the scenes. That would be my guess. Okay. As we move up the list, Howard Beck, totally fine. Tim Bontemps, totally fine. Dustin Dompiriak. Sorry, guys. I should be wearing glasses when I do these shows because of the screens, but I can't wear the glasses because of the glare on the camera. So when I said Ash Hayes, I didn't see that it's Hades. So I'm like looking here, squinting. Vince Goodwill, no problem. Joel Lorenzi. Do you see the commonality here? You have a local respected reporter. You have the reporter that follows that team. So you got those guys covered. And then I get to the top of the list. Malika Andrews. What has Malika Andrews ever done than read off of a teleprompter for ESPN? What has she done? Go look up Malika Andrews' story to getting to where she's at, where she is hosting that show for the NBA Finals. It's a very, very short story of how you get there and how you got there. Yes. No, dude, she should not have a vote. That is insane. That is you know what? It's disrespectful to everybody on the list. And again, I'm not saying that whoever else would have that vote wouldn't have voted SGA. That is disrespectful to Howard Beck. That's disrespectful to Tim Bontemps. That's disrespectful to Tim Reynolds. That's disrespectful to guys like Sam Amick. That's garbage, man. Malika, come on. What are we doing? If this is about having a woman as a voter, which is fine, put multiple women on as voters. At least put Doris Burke. Put people that cover and know the game. Malika reads from a teleprompter. I don't know what else to say. It's just stupid. And why do I even care, to be honest with you? Like, why do I care? It's an award. Crazy. Just go look up Malika Andrews' husband. That's why she has a vote. That's why she has the job that she has. Period. End of story. So that is my grievance. Like, it's silly. It's really, really silly. Not cool. Not cool at all. And I'm being fair. I'm calling it out across the board. If you're calling the game, you shouldn't have a vote. You shouldn't. Anyways. Sorry. This has nothing to do with anything else but Malika Andrews' qualifications on covering the game of basketball in the NBA. Nothing to do. Nuts. Like, when I saw that, I had to look twice. I'm like, there's no way she had a vote. How? How does she have a vote? Anyways, man, like a haunted horse flipping the other way. Wait, she's married? Okay, she loses her vote. Sorry. It's where... there's a lot of people that complain about quote unquote wokeness in the NBA. This has nothing to do with race. So do not make it about race. My comments about wokeness are strictly about female and male balance. Clearly, the NBA wanted a female on the voting panel. But I can think of 5 to 10 national reporters who cover the finals that are respected reporters. Ramona Shelburne. It's their life to cover the NBA. Lisa Salters, but then again, she's the sideline. So she doesn't qualify under my qualifications. But Malika Andrews, no. It does not sit well with me. Again, it's kind of, you could say, Ryan, you're being petty. It's a vote. Who cares? It just, it's the problem with the NBA. It's a big problem with the NBA. You're disrespecting. You can't put that. That's like lining up Bobby Flay, Gordon Ramsay. Who else? Give me some other celebrity chefs that I all of a sudden can't think of. All of the Iron Chefs. It's like lining all of them up and putting them in a cooking contest or asking them to be judges of a cooking contest and then putting me or you on the panel. Wikipedia, on June 23rd, 2022, Andrews made history by being the first woman to host the NBA draft. Cool. Great. Host. Host is the key word, right? Not report on the NBA draft. Not cover the NBA draft. Host the NBA draft. Traffic cop of the NBA draft. I take nothing away from her. I take nothing, zero away from what she has accomplished as a host. There's a difference between just with an announcing crew, your color guy and your play-by-play, color guy or gal. She is a host. I just, you can have a journalism degree. You can have all that stuff, but that doesn't make you a respected reporter, when you're cutting down the votes, you guys saw the spreadsheet we put up when we were trying to figure out who was the person that didn't vote for LeBron as an all-NBA player this season. You saw the massive spreadsheet of voters. Malika Andrews is in that list. Cool. Whatever. All right. But when you boil it down to like literally on that list for each of those publications, which were the biggest outside of the two that were the local newspapers, to have her name on that same list of those reporters who have been hustling these finals. And by the way, she's picking games too on ESPN on the broadcast. You literally can't do it, especially with the gambling aspect. People put money on who the MVP is going to be. And she's sitting up there reading the odds. It can't happen. I'm sorry. Tone deaf. It's a really minor thing in the grand scheme of things, but it's one of those areas where you can't have minor cracks in the system. And that is it right there. Man, you just can't do that. NBA, Adam, if you're going to take gambling, you can't do that. I'm sorry. You can't. All right. We're going to wrap up. But there is one question that Jeff has been asking me. View on a 4-point shot from 30 feet. I'm more in favor of the Rock and Jock 25-foot high hoop. I would like that probably better than the 30-foot. You know what I'm saying? Probably like that better. I don't want to encourage more three-pointers. So, anyways. All right. What a day. If you just joined the show late, man, great call from Tay earlier on talking hoops. Awesome. Out of the blue. I asked and he came, Ash Hades, talking about mosh pits. I guarantee it sounds like something that you don't want to hear about, but wait till you listen to it. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. We will be back. Well, I'll be back tomorrow with Jerry Reynolds. If for whatever reason Jerry isn't going to be able to make it, I'll put that on my X. But all plans still a go for Jerry Reynolds Tuesday tomorrow. Grant is off tonight. Grant and I on Wednesday will be together to do a draft show as soon as right around the end of the first round. Now, if the Kings end up moving up or there's a trade made, we'll be on to cover it. Tomorrow, Jerry Reynolds Tuesday. Again, go back to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. This show will be up here in about 45 minutes. The King's Court with Rhino. If you want to take it with you on the go, if you want to watch it, it is right there for you on YouTube. On If You Don't Like That. Everybody for being in the chat. Great stuff today, y'all. Great stuff. Difficult day, especially if you're just a basketball fan. If you have a heart in general, seeing a guy go down under those circumstances, we're gonna play out with what Rick Carlisle had to say again about Tyrese Halliburton and this run that they were on this year. Credible stuff to hear somebody like Rick Carlisle have comments like this. Crazy. Congratulations to the NBA champion, Oklahoma City Thunder. Go Kings. Light the beam. We're out until tomorrow with Jerry Reynolds. Court's dismissed.
What happened with Tyrese is just all of our hearts dropped. But he will be back. I don't have any medical information about what may or may not have happened, but he'll be back in time, and I believe he'll make a full recovery. So he authored one of the great individual playoff runs in the history of the NBA.